All right. Smoke them if you got them. Vape if you got it. I guess even smoke weed if you want to. Take a shot of whiskey or drink a beer. Uh, I love you, and I thought I'd do an impromptu video. I have been resting the last 3 days because last few months and definitely March were rough on me, your Planetary Defense Commander. And I just felt it was important to make a video now to say I and my mother recommend you play really good defense through April. And so I would like everybody to keep it together and to play excellent defense all throughout April. And that includes being safe, being smart, working together, and keeping the lights on, the water's running, people fed, and people calm. Because we are in the new age. And a lot of people are dying. We're now past 70,000 deaths from the coronavirus. I think we're getting close to 10,000 dead Americans in a month. You know, times that by 12 months, and that's 120,000. And so if you add that on top of the other causes of death, that's a lot of people to be dying. And so, as we have seen, us intelligent, critical thinking, good hearted human beings, that we've watched different countries react to the data coming our way differently. And so China pretty much scrubbed all the videos off the internet 3 days after the COVID outbreak, and then got rid of the people who were trying to inform people about the COVID outbreak. And then America stuck its dick in the dirt, or the politicians did, for like 2 months, and we're like, hey, stock market's great, everything's wonderful, no big deal, contained. Okay, and so I have noticed a trend. Now, please remember, it is my job as your Planetary Defense Commander. I'm always going to be safe over sorry. That I will worry until I don't believe there's a reason to worry. And so, over the last 3 days, it looks like the numbers have slowed down. And so the social distancing may be working. But my Jedi sense tells me that in some ways they are massaging the numbers, and that once again, markets are massively being manipulated so that they can maximize day trading profits. For example, we just hit 70,000 deaths across the world, and the Dow Jones is up 1,000 points. And so, the people who worship stock markets are going to do everything they can to make as much money as possible. And some of them are never going to learn. Can't teach an old dog new tricks, I guess. And so I recommend playing excellent defense for definitely the next week. And overall, we are on Super Asteroid Fight Club, high alert, play defense, be prepared for earthquakes, volcanoes, war, like through April. And there's no reason. For example, there are many stories coming out of like a preacher or pastor who was like, screw all this hype, I'm holding a congregation, or I'm not worried about it. And then they died from the virus. And so even if it is like the grandest hoax of all time, I can't think of a single reason to not take this situation seriously. And that no matter what, the world as we know it is not going to be the same. I had mentioned 50 times in the last 7 years that all the reports I've read and I've heard from people I've talked to some really educated, powerful people in all industries over the last 10 years. And they said there was like 100 chance of at least 1 billion layoffs in the next 10 years. That the way with manufacturing and how they do everything, that a billion people were going to get laid off no matter what. Plague, no plague, dude. Like, corporations don't give a fuck about the individual. I know there's some people out there who still have a belief system that there's something more powerful other than God that controls the giant 1,000 corporate hydra system. We're talking about 1,000 corporations and banks, man. It's like a giant hydra system. And so, I have recommended having 100-year either national plan, 100-day national plan, or even a globe plan for the next 100 days. Like, we need to be playing defense for the next 100 days. People who stay home need to keep the lights on. Like, we really need some type of bill jubilee for the next 3 months where you don't have your car payment hitting, you don't have your insurance hitting, you don't have like your phone bill. Like, I would suggest like a 3-month bill jubilee, and the central banks are going to be giving the corporations money anyways, dude. It's how it's going to go down. So we avoid lawlessness, and we have seen the doctors, the nurses, even the grocery store workers, the janitors, the truck drivers, UPS guys, the mail guys and ladies, like, they are our heroes and they're willing to put their lives on the line. So we should be doing everything we can to protect these people and reward these people. And then I've heard people they're talking about closing down the Postal Service in June. It's just talk right now. But that is ridiculous. I mean, as your planetary defense commander, what I would do is I would do everything you could to protect the male men and women, and then have a slower mail system, but a safer mail system. I mean, if you have to disinfect every single letter or every package that comes in, like, because if they're going to shut down the mail system, they're not going to shut down Amazon. They're not going to shut down corporations. They're going to shut down the mail service. And that there have been 2 groups. Now, I know this is going to trigger people. There have been 2 groups that have pretty much been the backbone of America for 100 years. That kept it going, and that is mailmen and the IRS. I know everybody's programmed to hate the IRS, but they were one of the first people that were like, you don't have to pay your taxes this year. You can hold off. I mean, they were way ahead of the curve, ahead of most corporations, and ahead of definitely the politicians. And the thing is that people love to hate the IRS, but the IRS technically has been like silently in everything. But I have to, and we have to give them credit. They've kept our civilization standing for 100 years. And that when the chips were down, they were the first person to be like, dude, don't worry about paying your taxes anytime soon. We ain't worry about yourself. And so, the IRS shouldn't have a problem staying home, but we need to be protecting our mailmen and keep our mail service up. That is my opinion, because we all know that mailmen and women should have rights, right? But so even state government should be working to protect and save their mail people. Because if you're just going to turn it over to like a corporation like Amazon is inherently going to care less about their individual workers than United Postal Service is going to do. And we are in this giant splitting of the people who care about other people and the people who care about civilization and the people who care about making us a better world and making sure we avoid lawlessness. And then the ones who just know hate, who just know blame, who just know anger, who just pour the worst conspiracy stories into the narrative nonstop. The same people who said this was just the flu, the same people who said that this was a hoax. Like they always have a horrible, crappy conspiracy for everything. And they usually talk about politics like it was fan fiction. Like somehow the second coming of Christ ended up a politician, which I don't believe in any way, shape, or form, you know? Anyway, so if you're just joining me, I'm just saying play defense at every single level. And while I'm hitting all the hot buttons, I'm seeing all these reports out now. Please remember, I've never been married. As far as I know, I don't have any kids. And I'm single, and I've been single for 4 years now. All the domestic abuse reports, which are way up, it's always that if there's a domestic abuse situation, the woman is being abused. In a physical sense, that's definitely it's a case where men physically abuse women more often, but I'm saying that there is mental, emotional, and spiritual domestic abuse, and that under no circumstances am I ever going to believe that domestic abuse is a one-sided thing where only men abuse women. I think men and women emotionally abuse each other. I don't mean to laugh at that, but I'm just saying that. And so to reduce domestic abuse is like, A, you got to be cool. And B, don't push people. Like the people who are out there now pushing people or pumping negativity, like it just seems like a very antichrist thing to be doing during a outbreak pandemic where you have bodies dropping daily. And I have said since I've been here that the most important decision you will ever make your whole life is the mate you choose. I mean, I always reference King Arthur. King Arthur chose poorly, and the whole kingdom got totally screwed up, and then we went into the Dark Ages. So that is an excellent metaphor for choosing a relationship. And what's weird is the thing I always talked about, like, if I got married, the thing that I would need to do is I would need to go with my wife, I like women, on a road trip. And if it's a great road trip and your car breaks down, you still have fun and like you have problems, but you still have a great time, then okay, yeah, we probably get married. Because like the road trip litmus test. And I wanted to say that I guess it's lucky that Justin Bieber broke up with Selena Gomez and married Hailey Bieber. Or else, if he'd have stayed with Selena, he would probably be domestically abusing her today. It was a stand-up comedy joke. I don't know if it's funny. I don't know. It's like I have a hard time with like during this situation, the only thing we have to do is be cool, work together, protect our essential people who are helping us and feeding us and taking care of us, and then we got to figure out a good way to restructure the world as we conquer this virus. So that's all we got to do, man. It's like all we got to do. And I'm in this, it's like it feels like we're in a zone now, and it'll probably be for another week where the people who've been doubling down on really bad decisions are going to continue to double down on really bad decisions. We are not seeing any type of overarching leadership that we need right now. I mean, I hate calling out. It's like I said, the Democrats are pretty much silent right now, as they have been for 3 months. So I don't mean to signal out our president, but he does get up and talk every day. So, and one of the craziest things he said that I heard was like, he literally said, we got to fill those pro stadiums as soon as possible. I was like, what, dude? What? I, I don't know. And so, I would predict at best pro sports come back in 2023, barring a miracle. And even the governor of Texas said, hey, we have reason to believe football season might not get affected in September. And I'm like, that is what we're at over 133,000 cases or 337,000 cases, 70,000 deaths, almost 10,000 American. Like, I don't know. It's like I keep saying, what we need now is a 100-day plan. We need to hope and pray that we get a miracle in July or in the summer. I mean, a miracle before then would be great, no doubt. But right now we need to count on not getting a miracle till July. And so we need to have a 100-day plan. And like I said, nobody seems really interested in big ideas right now. Nobody seems really interested in actual teamwork. And so the best thing I can do today is recommend play defense, man. Play defense for you. Play defense for your family. Play defense for your friends. Play defense for everybody. Because this thing is like an invisible Grim Reaper. You don't know what, when, where, why. And there's definitely a super strange aspect around it all. I, for the life of me, still can't figure out, although I've done some studying, on why New York's situation is so bad. And yeah, I get the density. Yeah, I get the international travel that I get elevators. Yeah, I get a lot of it, but it still seems like there's weirdness. And all throughout March, the worst people who were trying to not make it look bad were like the United States, Egypt, Turkey, and Japan. It was like I talked about how before they canceled South by Southwest, I checked it out and there were no cases in Austin. And they were still talking about going through with South by Southwest. And so I made on one of my videos, I said, look, guys, you got to cancel South by Southwest. It's in a week. You don't want everyone showing up from Seattle and Washington and Silicon Valley who are already infected and thereby really infecting the central Texas. And so I know you're going to lose the 384 million you usually make off South by Southwest, but if you want to save Texan lives, you got to cancel South by Southwest. And 6 hours later, they canceled it. And so, and then as soon as they canceled it, like right after that, they reported a bunch of cases. So it seemed clear that they were trying to suppress it a little. And so I think we witnessed that happen in Japan, where like last thing they wanted to do was cancel the Olympics, postpone it. And so they tried to hide that. Like anytime a country or state tries to hide its numbers, it always ends up blowing up in their face. And so I could be wrong. And so maybe all the social distancing has worked and the curve is starting to flatten. Maybe New York has posted like 500 or 600 deaths a day the last 3 days because the protective measures had started to work. Or what I suspect is that right now they're still the powers that be, and that is both parties and a lot of corporations are still focused on gaming the stock markets. with the pump and dump, where they start to get everybody falsely excited and everyone's still focused on the stock markets. Like when the stock market's bound back up, you don't want to get left out, man. And for the life of me, I don't even know why we're so focused on stock markets at all, because I don't even know how many of these corporations are coming back. It's, right now, we should be focusing on the individuals in the states, making sure they're okay, because corporations are like giant invisible shell companies that are there just to make money and pretty much abuse human rights as much as legally possible. Also, the other day when I bought 10 packs of cigarettes and I soaked them in soapy water, apparently I left them in too long because it went through the cellophane. So now my cigarettes have a delicious soapy taste. So yeah, I just want to reiterate: play good defense. You know, there are countless dipshits out there who have been saying for months, this is a hoax, this isn't that big a deal, this is the flu. Hey, Tom Dempsey, the kicker who kicked the 63-year-old field goal, coronavirus killed him, dude. Kenny Rogers, I'm sorry, Kenny Loggins still alive. Kenny Rogers, it killed him. Bill Withers, it killed him. Like, it's taking people out. And during the whole time, you know, we've had a lot of groups telling people, hey, don't worry about it. Like I said, the pastor who was like, don't believe the media hype, let's hold church. He died of the coronavirus. So it's a plague, man. And then it's weird how the conspiracy stuff, like 5G, that's all, like YouTube is always unified in its like conspiracy theories of like 5G. But it's like, dude, there were plagues in the year 300, there were plagues in the year 600, there were plagues in the year. And I think frequencies amplify stuff, but it's a bigger overall picture. And so everyone's always looking for like a single individual to blame. Like one of the biggest scapegoats YouTube and the conspiracy crew always picks on is Bill fucking Gates. It is amazing to me, like, even, and I gotta say this though, that like, why don't people realize that by like accusing Tom Hanks of being a pedophile or Steven Spielberg of being a pedophile, like they literally accused anyone who was famous or could have posed any type of opposition to Republicans was accused of being a pedophile without any fucking evidence. And in that note, remember, in 4 days, QAnon has promised you the mass arrests are coming. And so if you believe in God or Jesus, it's not about going to church, dude. It's about your relationship with God. It's about your relationship with Jesus. I mean, I believe Jesus even talked about the people who go to church just to be seen praying in church. The fact that they murdered Jesus and then 3 days later he rose again and is still the biggest badass in the world today, that's what it's all about to me. I call it Resurrection Day. That, like, it's Resurrection Month. And so as Planetary Defense Commander, who is a Christian, I am a Christian, Jesus Christ, my King of Kings. And I know I'm never going to be as good as Jesus, but I wouldn't mind being second or third. Is that a sin? Because they're like, yeah, stay home, play defense, dude. Jesus hears you. God hears you. God isn't going to be like, dang, I really wish you had gone to church and then played Easter Bunny games and looked for eggs with your kids. I'm so upset at y'all for not going and playing Easter Bunny games in a large group. You know? I always see people out like today, like, because someone was saying there was a right winger who was saying, all the godless people on the left are so happy that they canceled Easter. I'm like, dude, have you ever met a black person or a Hispanic person? I hate to tell you this, bro, but they will out Christian you in a heartbeat. If you think you are more Christian than a black grandmama, you didn't get out much, man. You think anyone's got a bigger heart than a black grandmama? You think anyone loves Jesus more than a black grandmama? We just totally disagree, bro. God, I'm so sick of fucking politics, man. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really do shit. Like, I'm sorry for picking on y'all, but y'all really misplayed the whole thing. You know, like the whole it's a hoax and it's just the flu and mass arrests are coming. When? How do you even have mass arrests during a pandemic? How do you maintain social distancing? Because if you had to do mass arrests, you'd need at least 6 people to go in and arrest. Oh, did you hear the premier? Prime Minister of the UK is now on oxygen because he has the coronavirus. So yeah, now would be a great time to fight. Like, I believe we all have our different, like, what we see or perceive God or Jesus Christ as is different. And so for me, it's always like Jesus is my cool Jesus. Like, Jesus is love. Jesus is cool. Jesus loves us all, loves the animals. And you know, there are people out there of the hell and brimfire Jesus and Jesus only loves Church of Latter-day Saints, or Jesus only loves Catholics, or Jesus only loves Baptists, or Jesus only loves uh yeah, it's a weird thing, but yeah, you know, like I believe Jesus is our brother, our king, and our friend. You ain't gotta believe that. It helps me get through every day. It helps me stay cool. And grace without works is dead. That's what Jim said. Jim's James. Hey, so I just want to say, play defense. And dude, seriously, those out there who are just obsessed with really bad conspiracy theories, who that always come up wrong. Stop. Not helping. What we need now is to figure out how to keep the lights on, the water running, people fed, our essential services people safe as possible. We need to keep the post office open and safe. And then we need to figure out how to transition into a post plague world. We have been run by the 0.0001% for like the last 40 years. And the digital age made it more brutal and horrific in a spiritual sense than we ever imagined. So that's why, like, mentally erase the chalkboard and just start over. Because we have all the resources. And how can you, like, okay, this is the crazy shit. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Like, our president said having low oil prices really hurts people and the economy. Okay, let me put it for you in another way if I can. Having low sand prices really hurts people and the economy. So we've got to do what we can to make sure that sand has a very high price, that everybody has to pay a lot of money for sand. And as I've been saying for the 7 years of Thor News, that our entire economy is based on war, oil, and deception. And so that our entire economy is based on, we have to keep oil between $50 and $100 a barrel. Like, so your Democrats are focused on keeping oil between 50 and $100 a barrel. Your Republicans are keeping oil, focused on keeping oil at $150 a barrel. Your corporations are keeping the focus on keeping the oil at $50 to $100 a barrel. And it's very Ozymandias-esque. It's almost the equivalent of making sure that sand stays $100 for every handful. And even though it's very dangerous to talk about it, I mean, we're in a post-petroleum economy. We're in a post a lot of shit economy. And that we have done, the collective we, because we're all responsible for the shit show. Sorry, it's the truth. Like, we have all the resources. And if we're just going to focus on making sure oil stays high and stock markets stay high, it's going to be a bad outcome. And I know there are people out there like, Jesus says we have to have a bad outcome. Jesus says in the book of Revelation, we got to let Satan ride his motorcycle up our butthole every day. And then we got to let evil bats fly in and torture us for like 36 years. Like, even though Jesus gave his life to forgive original sin, we have to just lay down and let the devil torture us forever, because that's what God wants. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think so. I think it's time for us to turn the light on and prepare for peace. Remember, Jesus was the Prince of Peace, man. So, yeah, I'll do what I can to try and bring you guys the best information possible. And another thing is that very often during these discussions of the last 2 months, you've heard our federal government say, hey, that shit is up to the states, man. That, like, we're just here to make you guys make it more expensive, more complicated, and run for election. We're here to get elected. We're not here to take babysit the states. You know? And then there was the whole thing about the Navy ship captain, was it the Theodore Roosevelt? Who had to, like, write the letter saying he really wanted to protect his sailors. He ended up testing positive for the coronavirus, but he got fired for being a hero. And they, Planetary Defense Commander, that, I mean, I'm more worried about Astro Fight Club, Texans, Marines, sailors, National Guard, Air Force, Army, like, than I am global stock market holders. And I'm scared that a lot of groups aren't going to change their ways. Take care of the people, man. And that's my job. I do what I can to give the best information to everybody. I feel like definitely 2020 I've done a spectacular job. And if it turns out in 3 days this was all a hoax and that there's no big deal, then fine, you can fire me. But that doesn't seem it's not the situation. Like I said, for the first 2 months, it was like, this thing barely kills anybody. And if it does, the chance of you dying if you're under 65 are minimal. Now we're watching babies die. We're watching, infants die. We're watching young kids die, teenagers die, 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 40-year-olds. Like, this thing seems to have potential to kill almost anyone if you get it. And that's just a weird thing. It's like, as far as I know, I've never seen any single proof that Tom Hanks is a pedophile or eats babies. But because some people love to worship a politician and a political party, they will assassinate anybody's character without due process or without any type of proof. As long as they get 10,000 people to utter the same baseless accusation, they get it to stick. And that is disgusting and about as anti-Christian as it gets. Like, because I've been a fan of Tom Hanks my whole life. He's done great work. He's always, all the interactions with him and his wife seem to be really genuine. And just the idea that people would take out and he survived the coronavirus, but it's just like, that's how disgusting it's gotten. God, I hate politics, man. But it's just what seems, it doesn't seem like a lot of people are going to change their ways. That they put all their eggs in a political basket, and that even during a plague, their focus is just going to be on politics. And I still think that what people fear the most is peace and leadership. So, in conclusion, yeah, play great defense for definitely the next week. And all throughout April is my recommendation. And I think Last Row Fight Club, you guys are utterly, absolutely amazing. I took I got rested for 3 days because it has been just a battle. And then right now I have a real low tolerance for negativity. Because, like I said, if I get the virus and I die, I want to do the best I can to enjoy life and not hurt anybody else in thoughts, words, or actions. And so, it's like passive domestic abuse, social networkingly, that if you look, we're all going to have our ups and our downs. And so if you feel anger or hate, try to play an instrument or go for a jog, or like, don't try and make other people feel your misery. Don't try and force people to feel hopeless. Don't try and be a Satan riding his motorcycle up your butt salesman. Like, there's this woman, Renee, called The Rapture Puzzle. I don't know if you remember her. Remember, like 4 or 5 years ago, where she would get like 1 million views because she had a rapture date for all, and she was like, the rapture's definitely coming 5 years ago. She's getting 1 million, all these views. And then she was totally wrong. And she's been totally, and then she changed it to like 2 years later and was totally wrong. And then today I saw she posted a video called Here It Comes, the Mark of the Beast. And I've talked about it like, shit, dude. Okay, so the original Mark of the Beast could have been electricity itself. And then it could have been the barcode. And then it could have been the World Wide Web. And then it was like cryptocurrency. And now it's the vaccine. What if the Mark of the Beast was the dollar bill? But it's like, yeah, I got Mark of the Beast fatigue, man. And never once the Mark of the Beast rode over me on a motorcycle. But if it is the Mark of the Beast, then remember, you got to move to the mountains and stay the hell away from like everyone and everything, and start your fires. And I don't know. So yeah, I'm just a little tired of the either that we're gonna kill you, or the world is ending, or give up, you have no hope. Now I believe better days will return, and that every time humanity gets way off course, God course corrects it. But the God's wrath pours out on the just and the unjust. And so, how bad the situation will be will largely depend on us. Because I believe it is like a 75% destiny, 25% free will. You can switch those numbers around all you want. So, yeah, be cool. Play good defense. Definitely, I would recommend 15 feet social distancing. Um, and that be trying to, work what you can to help those around you and to keep the lights on, water running, even the internet up, and people fed and prevent lawlessness. And that it has shown that capitalism has major fucking cracks, bro. Socialism has major fucking cracks, bro. Uh, Communism has major cracks, bro. You know what? Those are like 200-year-old systems or older systems. And so we need a new system. And people are like, hey, that's the New World Order. And I'm like, well, I've been trying to tell y'all that the New World Order for rich people has been in place for 40 fucking years. The New World Order's already been around. And then even Nostradamus says, well, the New World Order will only last for X amount of time, and then the good guys come and we get like 1,000 years of peace. So there's nothing I want more than 1,000 years of peace and everybody being cool and rock and roll to return. And us moving forward from a system that makes sure everyone is engaged in war and using gasoline. I am so sick of that system. That was like, don't you realize how low sand prices hurts people and the economy? Anyway, stay cool. And so, like I said, I don't know what you have your mentality, but a lot of people have died, a lot more than usual. And so it definitely looks like people are out there trying to massage the stock markets and make every penny out of the markets they can. And remember, these aren't the people who are doing what they can to get more ham, more cheese, more bread, or just make sure they're paying their electricity bill. We're talking about the people who have like $10 million but really want 50 million, or the people who have $1 billion and really want 5 billion, or the people who have $100 billion but really want a trillion, or the people that have a trillion and just want to stay number one. It's a giant battle. It's between I don't think it's as simple as good and evil, but it's definitely between old world, new world. And that one side has like greed and hate and nihilism and deception and lies and schadenfreude. And the other side is good, patient, kind, and wants the world to be a better place. They don't want to just keep it in status quo forever. So play defense. That's the whole point. Okay, love you guys. Stay cool. God bless everyone. And somehow, if the coronavirus or ninjas take me out today or tomorrow, please know that I loved you and I did my best and I'm proud of you. And I think that you guys will end up in a good place in the future, that we will make it through this together. Humanity has reached the brink many times throughout history, and we've always pulled through and continued to get better, sometimes slowly, sometimes in spurts, but civilization has continued to move forward. But it definitely seems like we've been stuck in the mud for 20 years. And I'm sick of the mud, bro. So God bless everyone. And may God protect you and your family. And let us all have a wonderful resurrection month. And Even if you don't believe in Jesus, you could just look at it as going from like the winter to the spring. You know, and I can understand. Well, I don't want to get into that, but I was gonna say I can understand when people are mad at religion, but if you operate under the premise that the main two laws were love God above all else and love your neighbor as your brother, then no matter what, Jesus was a pretty amazing guy. I don't want to get into all the Nicene Council debates about specific verbs and passages or what the Catholic Church may or may not have added in or taken out before the printing press, was allowed to be around or fought to be around. Anywho, and I invite you to think about Nostradamus, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Isaac Newton, the Reformation and the Renaissance, plus Jesus Christ, and even his mom Mary and his girlfriend Mary over the next month. And then think about where do we want to be 10 years from now? Okay? Love you. Stay cool. You guys are fantastic. Peace out. God bless everyone.